On the distant planet of Zathera, a world bathed in emerald skies and floating crystal towers, Queen Varna ruled with unmatched wisdom and authority. Her rule was fair but firm, and the people respected her as much as they feared her. The cities of Zathera gleamed with energy, and the technology of the alien civilization surpassed anything humans had ever imagined. But despite all her accomplishments, the queen faced a problem that troubled her more than war or rebellion. Her daughter Nira was different. Nira was gentle and kind, but she lacked the confidence and precision expected of a princess. Her hands often fumbled with ceremonial items. When she tried to speak in council meetings, she stumbled over her words. Her attempts at diplomacy were awkward, and she frequently tripped while walking through the palace halls. Members of the court whispered behind her back, calling her clumsy and unfit for royal duties. Queen Varna had watched these events unfold with a mixture of concern and disappointment. She loved her daughter deeply, but she could not deny that Nira seemed weak in a society that valued strength and cunning. Queen Varna understood that the survival of Zathera depended on strong alliances. One such alliance required an unusual choice. A human man named Leo had arrived from Earth years ago as part of an interstellar agreement. Humans were considered simple by many Zitherans, but Leo was brave, honest, and fiercely loyal. He had already proven himself in small ways, helping scientists solve technical problems and assisting the military in strategies no Zitheran had considered. Still, many in the court doubted his ability to survive in their world, much less marry a princess. The queen called Nira to the observation deck of the palace. Where the crystal towers reflected the emerald skies, Nira fidgeted with the edge of her sleeve, looking down at the city below. "My daughter," the queen began, her voice steady but not unkind. "Our people need strength and unity. The council has agreed that your marriage to Leo will serve both our planet and our human allies." Nira looked up, her large violet eyes wide with fear. "Mother, I do not know if I am ready. I am not like you. I cannot make speeches or command soldiers. I am not strong enough for this role." Queen Varna studied her daughter carefully. "Strength is not always obvious, Nira. Sometimes it comes from patience and kindness. Leo is brave, and he respects you. You will learn from him, and in time you may find that your own strength surprises you." Nira tried to nod, but her hands trembled. She wanted to believe her mother, but fear clung to her like a shadow. She had grown up in the palace, protected and coddled, yet constantly reminded of her shortcomings. The thought of marrying a human, someone so different from her people, made her heart race. The preparations for the ceremony were elaborate. The palace was decorated with shimmering lights, and alien flowers that glowed faintly in the dark were arranged in delicate patterns. Nira's dress was a flowing garment of silver and green, woven with threads that reflected the light like water. Leo, who had spent years adapting to Zitheran customs, wore a ceremonial uniform that combined human and alien styles. He was calm and confident, but Nira could see the tension in his posture. When the ceremony began, citizens of Zithra gathered in the main plaza. They watched with curiosity and skepticism as the human man approached the princess. Many whispered that Leo would fail, that he would stumble and embarrass Nira. Others wondered if Nira could survive the expectations placed upon her. Leo extended his hand to Nira. She hesitated, then placed her delicate hand in his. His grip was firm but gentle, a reassurance that calmed her racing heart. The queen recited the vows, and the two exchanged promises to honor and support each other. Nira stumbled slightly over the words, and a murmur ran through the crowd, but Leo spoke clearly and confidently. His voice carried across the plaza, steady and strong, and even the skeptical citizens could not deny his presence. As the ceremony concluded, the queen felt a mixture of relief and doubt. The political goal had been achieved, and the human man had proven himself composed under pressure. Yet she could not ignore Nira's nervousness. Her daughter still seemed unsure of herself, still weak in the ways the queen valued. After the crowd dispersed, Leo led Nira to the private gardens behind the palace. The gardens were filled with bioluminescent plants that glowed softly, casting gentle light on the paths. Nira looked at Leo, her eyes reflecting both fear and hope. "Are you sure about this?" she whispered. Leo smiled, a small but reassuring smile. "I am sure we can face it together. I may be human, but I have learned much from your world, and I will protect you in every way I can." Nira felt a spark of courage she had never felt before. For the first time, she imagined herself standing beside someone as an equal. Leo did not see her as clumsy or weak. He saw her as a partner, and that simple belief gave her a sense of possibility she had never known. The days following the ceremony were filled with learning and adaptation. Leo studied Zitharan customs and politics with patience, asking questions and observing carefully. Nira, inspired by his determination, began practicing court duties and social rituals. She made mistakes, but Leo never mocked her. Instead, he guided her, showing her that mistakes were not failures but opportunities to grow. Queen Varna watched from afar. She remained focused on appearances and protocol. She wanted Nira to master the arts of leadership quickly, but she also began to notice subtle changes. Nira's movements were less hesitant. Her speech became clearer. She no longer flinched at criticism. Leo's influence was undeniable, though the queen's pride made it difficult to admit it. One evening, as the twin moons of Zithera rose in the sky, casting silver light across the palace towers, Queen Varna stood on the balcony, observing her daughter and Leo in the gardens below. Nira laughed at something Leo had said, a sound soft and melodic. The human's hand rested gently on hers, and she looked at him with trust and warmth. The queen felt a strange pang of emotion. She had arranged this marriage for political reasons, yet here was a bond forming that went beyond politics. She had not expected Nira to find courage or Leo to earn respect in ways that mattered. Pride, fear, and curiosity swirled together in her mind. The first part of this new life was not easy. Nira still stumbled in some lessons, and Leo still faced the skepticism of the court. Yet the bond between them grew stronger every day. They faced small challenges together, from navigating the alien marketplace to learning the proper way to greet visiting dignitaries. With each success, Nira's confidence grew, and with each failure, Leo's patience strengthened. By the end of the first year of their marriage, it was clear that Leo was no ordinary human. He had adapted to Zithera in ways few could imagine. He had learned to ride the winged creatures of the skies, to wield alien weapons with skill, and to understand the politics of the court. Nira, once timid and uncertain, had gained courage and wisdom. People began to notice her growing presence. Even the queen could not deny that her daughter's life was changing in ways she had never expected. Yet, for Queen Varna, doubts remained. She still worried about appearances and the judgment of the council. She had not imagined that a human could influence her daughter so profoundly. She had not imagined that Nira, the useless daughter, could begin to find her own power. And she had not imagined that Leo, the human, could surpass her expectations and perhaps even challenge her own authority. The first part of their story ended not with fireworks or grand triumphs, but with quiet understanding. Nira had taken the first steps toward growth. Leo had proven himself to be a partner of remarkable courage and intelligence. And Queen Varna, watching from the shadows, began to feel the stirrings of doubt, curiosity, and perhaps even respect. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, it seemed full of possibility. The first year of Nira and Leo's marriage had passed, and life on Zithera was changing in ways that no one had anticipated. Leo, the human man, had become more than a husband. He was a problem solver, a protector, and an ally to many in the court. His presence was felt everywhere, from the busy streets of the capital city to the quiet chambers of the royal palace. Nira, once timid and uncertain, had begun to find her own voice. She still struggled with certain tasks, and her movements could be clumsy at times, but her heart had grown braver. Under Leo's patient guidance, she learned to move with confidence, to speak with clarity, and to take part in the decisions of the court. People began to notice the subtle changes, though some still whispered that Nira would never truly match the expectations of royalty. The couple spent many hours walking through the gardens, observing the glowing plants and strange floating creatures. The garden paths were quiet in the early morning, and Leo often used this time to teach Nira. "Notice how the creatures react to light," he said one morning, pointing to a cluster of small winged animals that fluttered over the glowing flowers. "Their patterns may seem random, but there is order in their movement. Everything in this world has a rhythm. Once you understand it, you can predict and adapt." Nira watched closely, trying to absorb every detail. "I think I understand," she said, her voice soft but determined. "You mean that, if I watch carefully, I can learn how to act correctly even if it feels strange at first?" Leo nodded. "Exactly. Strength is not just about skill or speed. Sometimes it is about patience and observation. That is where humans and Zitherans can learn from each other." The people of Zithra began to take notice of Leo's influence on Nira. Teachers and advisors reported that she was more willing to listen, more willing to make decisions, and more willing to take small risks that could lead to growth. Nira, once afraid of making mistakes, now approached her duties with a careful optimism. She still tripped or mispronounced words, but Leo's calm support allowed her to recover gracefully. Not everyone in the court was pleased with this development. Certain ministers and advisors who had expected Nira to remain weak and obedient began to worry that her growing confidence could disrupt their plans. They whispered behind closed doors, criticizing the human and mocking the princess. Queen Varna, ever watchful, noticed the murmurs but did not intervene. She wanted Nira to learn, to adapt, and to prove herself. However, a part of her could not ignore the unsettling thought that a human could influence her daughter in ways she herself had not foreseen. Daily life in the palace was filled with challenges. The couple attended ceremonial meetings, practiced combat drills, and visited scholars to understand the history and culture of Zithera. Leo found ways to contribute beyond the obvious, offering insights into human technology that could be adapted to alien designs. He helped engineers create new energy shields, improve transportation methods, and even design small tools that made daily palace life easier. Nira observed him closely, fascinated by his ability to adapt. She noticed that he listened more than he spoke, asked questions when unsure, and accepted mistakes as lessons rather than failures. Slowly, she realized that leadership was not about perfection, but about learning and adapting. She began practicing decision-making herself, starting with small choices such as organizing palace events and coordinating aid for citizens one afternoon. While walking through the high terraces that overlooked the capital, Leo turned to Nira with a gentle smile. "Do you remember how nervous you were when we first married?" he asked. Nira laughed softly. "I thought I would never survive here. I thought I would always be clumsy and useless." Leo shook his head. "You are not useless. You have patience, empathy, and the courage to try. Those are qualities that cannot be taught. They grow within a person. You have them, Nira." For the first time, Nira felt a sense of pride. She was beginning to see herself not as the clumsy princess everyone mocked, but as someone capable of growth. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You have shown me that I can do more than I imagined." As months passed, small victories built her confidence. She spoke more in council meetings, offered advice during strategy sessions, and even led minor missions to aid remote settlements. Citizens began to look at her differently, noticing her courage and empathy. Still, she often relied on Leo's guidance, and he never pushed her beyond what she could handle. His calm presence provided a steady foundation upon which Nira could grow. Despite these successes, the queen remained cautious. She watched from her private chambers as Nira and Leo walked through the palace halls, laughing quietly or discussing plans. A part of her admired the growth she saw, yet another part felt uneasy. The human had adapted remarkably, learning their ways and even outshining some of her advisors. The queen's pride struggled to accept that her daughter's progress was intertwined with Leo's influence. One evening, during a festival celebrating the stars of Zithera, Nira and Leo took part in a ceremonial flight. Winged creatures trained by the royal family carried them over the city while citizens below cheered. Nira held tightly to Leo, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. "You are doing well," Leo whispered. "Trust yourself. You have learned more than you realize." Nira looked at him, her eyes wide with wonder. I can feel it. I am not as afraid as I was before. I can do this. The creature soared higher, and for a moment Nira felt a freedom she had never known. The wind rushed past her. The lights of the city shimmered below, and she realized that she was capable of more than she had ever imagined. Leo's encouragement had unlocked something within her, and she was beginning to understand her own strength. However, life among aliens was not without challenges. Some citizens still doubted Leo's loyalty and ability. They whispered that he was too different, too human, and that Nira might be led astray. Nira faced criticism too, with some suggesting that her progress was slow or insufficient. Each comment tested her resolve, but she learned to respond with patience and clarity. She remembered Leo's words. Strength was not about perfection, but about learning and adapting. One day a crisis arrived that would test both of them. A powerful storm swept through the capital city, threatening the delicate crystal towers and the floating gardens. Citizens panicked as lightning struck nearby buildings. Nira and Leo rushed to organize rescue teams, directing workers and advising engineers on how to reinforce structures. Nira's heart pounded with fear, but she remembered her training and the lessons from Leo. She spoke calmly, giving clear instructions and supporting those who faltered. Leo worked alongside her, his strength and courage visible to all. Together, they saved citizens trapped in damaged buildings and guided emergency teams to repair critical infrastructure. The people watched in awe as the human and the princess worked together. Seamlessly, Queen Varna observed from the palace balcony. Her heart raced with conflicting emotions. Pride, fear, and curiosity swirled within her. She could not deny that Leo was remarkable, nor that Nira had grown stronger. Yet, she also felt a pang of uncertainty. Could a human truly belong among her people? Could her daughter, once deemed clumsy and weak, now stand on equal footing with the strongest of Zithera? As the storm passed and the city returned to calm, Nira and Leo walked through the streets, helping citizens repair minor damage and offering reassurance. Nira noticed the grateful faces around her and felt a warmth she had never experienced before. She realized that her worth was not measured by perfection, but by courage, compassion, and the willingness to act. The queen, watching silently, began to understand that her daughter's transformation was real. Nira was no longer the timid princess she had feared would fail. She was growing into a leader, shaped not only by her experiences, but also by the guidance and partnership of a human she had once underestimated. By the end of the second year of their marriage, life on Zithera had changed subtly but profoundly. Nira had gained confidence and skill. Leo had earned the respect of many citizens and advisors. And Queen Varna, though hesitant to admit it, had begun to see the potential in both of them. The human and the princess, once doubted by all, were quietly becoming forces to be reckoned with. In the palace gardens, under the glow of alien flowers, Nira turned to Leo one evening and smiled. "I think I am learning who I can be," she said softly. Leo held her hand. "You are stronger than you know, and you will only grow stronger with time." Nira looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and determination. "Then I will not waste this chance. I will face whatever comes, and I will do it with you by my side." Leo smiled, and together they watched the twin moons rise above the horizon. The future of Zithera was uncertain, filled with challenges and possibilities. But for the first time, Nira felt ready. With courage, guidance, and partnership, she could face the world, and perhaps even surpass the expectations of those who doubted her. The second part of their story ended not with triumph or celebration, but with understanding and growth. Life among aliens was not easy, yet it was shaping them both in ways they had never imagined. And far above, Queen Varna watched quietly, feeling a mixture of pride, awe, and the first stirrings of doubt about the judgments she had long held. The morning sky over Zithera was calm and clear, the twin suns casting golden light across the floating city. But the quiet beauty was deceptive. Far beyond the borders of the capital, a fleet from the neighboring empire of Koroth had gathered. They were strong, relentless, and skilled in warfare. The Carathians had grown jealous of Zithra's advancements and wealth. Their fleet moved with precision, ready to strike at the heart of the alien kingdom. In the palace, the alarm bells rang. Citizens rushed to the streets, unsure whether to flee or prepare for battle. Queen Varna's advisors gathered in the war chamber, voices sharp with concern. Nira stood beside Leo, her hands trembling slightly, but her eyes focused. She had grown stronger over the past 2 years, yet even she could not hide the fear that gripped the city. Mother Nira said quietly, turning to Queen Varna, "What should we do? How can we protect the city?" Queen Varna's expression was stern. "We will defend our people. Prepare the army and ready the defenses. I will command the main forces, but I expect all capable leaders to act quickly." Leo stepped forward. "We need more than just force. The Carathians are organized and powerful. We must think creatively if we want to survive." The queen's eyes narrowed. She respected strategy, but she had doubts about a human proposing military tactics. "And what do you suggest, Leo?" "You are untrained in our warfare." Leo's voice was calm, but full of confidence. "I may not have grown up here, but I have seen battles differently. We can combine human strategies with Zithran technology. Use our aerial forces in unexpected ways. Protect the city walls, but set traps for the fleet. Surprise will be our advantage." Some of the advisors scoffed, muttering that a human could not understand Zithran tactics. But Nira stepped forward, her voice clear and steady. "Mother, I think Leo's right. We cannot rely only on tradition. We need to act with creativity and courage. Let us try his plan." Queen Varna studied her daughter, then Leo, and felt a flicker of doubt in her pride. She had always believed that her daughter was unfit for leadership, yet now Nira spoke with authority and insight. For the first time, the queen considered that her judgment might have been wrong. The preparations began immediately. Nira and Leo moved through the city, coordinating engineers, soldiers, and volunteers. They reinforced key points in the walls, set defensive energy shields, and prepared the floating platforms for rapid deployment. Citizens who had once mocked Nira now followed her instructions without hesitation. She was no longer the timid princess they had laughed at. As the Carathian fleet approached, the sky darkened with massive ships, each bristling with weapons. The citizens of Zithra gathered on rooftops and terraces, watching in awe and fear. Queen Varna took her place on the main balcony, commanding her forces with her usual precision. But she could not ignore the presence of Leo and Nira. Moving swiftly among the troops, offering guidance and reassurance, the first wave of attacks hit the outer defenses. Lightning-like energy beams tore through the air, and explosions shook the floating towers. Soldiers faltered, unsure how to respond. Leo moved quickly, directing units to shield vulnerable points and repositioning them where they could be most effective. His combination of human strategy and quick adaptation of Zithran technology created unexpected advantages. Nira, despite the chaos, found her courage. She directed the emergency response teams, ensuring injured citizens were safely evacuated. She coordinated communication between soldiers on different levels of the city and offered guidance for using the energy shields creatively. Her voice carried authority, and for the first time, the citizens saw her as a leader in her own right. Queen Varna watched with a mixture of pride and unease. Her daughter, once clumsy and fearful, now commanded attention and respect. The human man she had once doubted was executing strategies that even her most trusted advisors had not considered. A feeling of worry crept into her chest, kind she had not felt since she was a young queen facing her first war. Hours passed, and the battle raged. The Carathian fleet was relentless, but the combination of Zithran defenses and Leo's strategies began to take effect. Traps hidden along the sky pathways disabled several ships. The aerial winged riders, guided by Nira's coordination, struck critical points in the enemy formation. Citizens joined the effort, reinforcing defenses and aiding the wounded. The unity of the people and the leadership of the princess and the human man began to turn the tide. During the most intense moment of the battle, a massive Carathian warship broke through the outer shields and approached the city center. Its weapons were aimed directly at the royal palace. Panic erupted among the defenders. Queen Varna's heart raced as she prepared to take full command. But Leo called out to her, "Mother, let us use the secondary energy field. It can absorb the impact if we deploy it correctly. Nira, guide the citizens to clear the area. We can save the palace without losing more lives." Nira nodded, moving quickly among the citizens to lead them to safety. Her voice was calm and confident, and the people followed her without question. Leo coordinated the energy field, instructing soldiers to activate it at precise moments. The warship's attack struck the shield, and energy flares illuminated the sky. The palace trembled, but stood firm. Queen Varna, watching the events unfold, felt a mix of shock and admiration. The human man had executed a plan she had never imagined. Her daughter had guided her people with courage and wisdom. For the first time, she realized that she had misjudged them both. Pride and doubt swirled together in her mind as she witnessed their bravery and ingenuity. The battle continued for hours. The Carathians, frustrated by unexpected resistance, attempted to regroup. Leo anticipated their moves, redirecting forces and setting additional traps. Nira continued to lead citizen groups, ensuring that no one was left behind. Slowly, the enemy began to retreat, their fleet damaged and morale shattered. By nightfall, the skies cleared and the remaining Corathian ships fled. Zithera had survived the greatest threat it had faced in decades. Citizens poured into the streets, cheering and celebrating the victory. Nira and Leo, exhausted but resolute, walked through the city, offering words of encouragement and support. People who had once doubted them now bowed with respect and gratitude. Queen Varna approached them in the palace courtyard. Her expression was a mixture of pride, awe, and the first hints of regret. "You have done what I never expected," she said softly. "The city stands because of both of you." Nira looked at her mother, her eyes steady and strong. "Mother, we only did what we had to do. Everyone played a part. We followed what we believed was right." Leo bowed slightly, his calm demeanor unwavering. "It was a team effort, but I must admit, the courage of Nira and the citizens made all the difference. Without their support, strategy alone would not have been enough." The queen studied them, her mind racing. She had arranged this marriage believing that her daughter was too weak to lead, that a human would be merely a tool for alliance. Yet now, she saw the truth. Nira had grown into a capable leader, and Leo had proven that strength was not limited to appearance or origin. The realization was humbling. That night, the palace was quiet. Nira and Leo stood on the balcony overlooking the city. Fires burned in celebration, and citizens sang songs of victory. Nira leaned slightly against Leo, her body weary, but her spirit alive. "We survived," she said softly. "And we learned that we are stronger than we thought." Leo nodded. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. The world is full of challenges. Together, we can face them all." Nira smiled, feeling a warmth she had never known. For the first time, she truly believed in herself. The battle had tested her courage, her judgment, and her strength. She had faced fear and uncertainty, yet she had acted with confidence and care. She realized that leadership was not about perfection but about heart, determination, and the ability to inspire others. Queen Varna, watching silently from her chambers, felt a mixture of pride and regret. She had underestimated her daughter and the human man she had married. She had judged them by appearances, by tradition, and by expectations. Now, she understood that true strength often came from unexpected sources. The realization was uncomfortable, but it was also enlightening. The crisis had ended. But the lessons it left behind were far more important than any victory. Nira had grown into a leader. Leo had earned respect beyond measure, and the queen had begun to understand that her daughter and the human man were forces that could shape the future of Zithera in ways she had never imagined. The third part of their story ended not with celebration alone, but with understanding, reflection, and the recognition of true courage. Life on Zithera had changed. The city was safe, but more importantly, hearts and minds had shifted. Nira's growth, Leo's ingenuity, and the Queen's awakening marked the beginning of a new era for the planet. one where strength and wisdom were measured by action, not expectation. The city of Zethra rested under a calm sky, the remnants of the Korathine attack fading into memory. Citizens cleaned the streets, repaired buildings, and celebrated the resilience of their home. Yet within the royal palace, the mood was far more complex. Queen Varna walked silently through the grand halls, her mind heavy with thoughts she had long avoided. Pride, worry, and uncertainty twisted together in ways that made her chest ache. For years, she had believed that her daughter Nira was clumsy, weak, and unfit for leadership. She had arranged the marriage to the human, Leo, expecting that it would serve a political purpose without changing the reality of her daughter's limitations. Yet the recent battle had shattered every expectation she had held. Nira had acted with courage, decisiveness, and wisdom that no one, not even the queen, had anticipated. Leo had proven himself to be more than a human ally. He had become a partner in leadership, a protector, and a source of inspiration for the people. Queen Varna entered her private chambers, her eyes falling on the crystal walls that reflected the city lights. She felt a wave of guilt, a realization that she had misjudged both her daughter and the human man she had married her to. For years, she had dismissed Nira's abilities, focused on appearances, and assumed that the princess would never rise to greatness. Now, she could see that her pride had blinded her to the truth. Nira and Leo entered the palace shortly after the battle, tired but composed. Nira moved with a quiet confidence, her hands steady, her voice calm. Leo followed, his posture relaxed, yet alert, always observing, always thinking. Queen Varna watched them, noticing how seamlessly they worked together. They were a team, a partnership built on trust, courage, and mutual respect. "Mother," Nira said softly, approaching her, "the city is safe. Everyone is recovering. Your guidance helped, but we acted together." The queen's gaze softened, but a pang of regret remained. "Nira, I have misjudged you. I believed that you could not lead, that you were unfit for responsibility. Yet you acted with bravery beyond what I imagined." Nira shook her head gently. "Mother, I only did what I thought was right. Leo guided me, yes, but I had to find my own courage too." Leo stepped forward, his calm presence a stabilizing force. "Queen Varna, the success was a team effort. Nira demonstrated leadership, patience, and strength. I only supported her. The people responded to her courage as much as any strategy I suggested." The queen studied them both, the weight of realization pressing heavily on her shoulders. For years, she had relied on appearances, on tradition, on the assumptions she had made about human and Zithran abilities. She had been so focused on Nira's weaknesses that she had failed to see her potential. She had doubted Leo because he was different, because he was human, and because he did not fit the expectations of her world. Yet now both had proven her wrong in ways that she could not ignore. I allowed my pride to blind me," she admitted, her voice low and honest. "I judged your abilities, Nira, not by what you could do, but by what I expected. And I judged you, Leo, not by your courage, but by your origin." Nira reached out, taking her mother's hand. "Mother, you are allowed to learn. We all grow with experience. I only wish you could see how much we can do together," Leo added. "Strength is not measured by tradition or expectation. It is measured by action, by courage, and by the willingness to face the unknown. Both Nira and the citizens of Zethera have proven this today." The queen felt a lump in her throat. She had spent years believing that power, leadership, and respect were earned only through tradition, lineage, and skill measured by custom. Now she understood that courage, intelligence, and empathy were equally valuable, if not more so. The human she had married her daughter to had demonstrated qualities she could not have imagined. Her daughter, once timid and uncertain, had risen to meet every challenge. Queen Varna sat quietly, reflecting on the past years. She remembered every misstep she had criticized. Every hesitation she had scorned, and every mistake she had assumed showed weakness. Now, she realized that each of those moments had been part of Nira's growth. Every stumble had taught her resilience. Every hesitation had allowed her to learn, and every mistake had been a step toward courage. "I see it now," she said finally. "I see what I have missed. Nira, Leo, you have both shown me that strength comes in many forms. I was wrong to dismiss you, to doubt your abilities, to believe that appearances define worth." Nira smiled, a soft, genuine expression that carried both relief and pride. "Mother, it is never too late to learn. I hope you can forgive yourself for doubting us." Queen Varna nodded slowly. Forgiveness was not easy, but it was necessary. She realized that regret alone was not enough. She needed to act, to support her daughter and Leo, and to allow their leadership to flourish without interference. "I will do more than forgive myself," she said, her voice gaining strength. "I will support you both. I will learn from your example and ensure that Zathira benefits from your courage and wisdom." Leo placed a hand gently on Nira's shoulder. "That is all we could ask. Leadership is not about power alone. It is about guidance, support, and collaboration. With your understanding, Queen Varna, our people will be stronger than ever." The queen felt a mixture of humility and hope. She had learned a lesson that no battle or ceremony could have taught. Pride had blinded her for years, but now clarity had returned. She saw Nira not as a clumsy child, but as a capable leader. She saw Leo not as a human outsider, but as a partner and a source of ingenuity. That evening, the palace gathered for a quiet ceremony to honor the citizens and soldiers who had defended the city. Queen Varna stood beside Nira and Leo, observing how the people responded. Citizens approached the princess and her human husband with gratitude, respect, and admiration. The queen watched their interactions, realizing that the bond they shared with the people was stronger than any decree or title. As the ceremony continued, the queen took a private moment to speak with Nira. "You have grown beyond what I expected," she said softly. "I was wrong to doubt you. You are capable, wise, and courageous. I am proud to call you my daughter." Nira's eyes shimmered with emotion. "Thank you, Mother. Your support means more than words can say. I hope we can continue to work together to lead our people with courage and care." Queen Varna nodded, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. The regret she had carried for so long was not erased, but it had transformed into understanding and determination. She realized that leadership was not about being perfect or adhering strictly to tradition. It was about growth, collaboration, and recognizing strength where it existed. Later that night, Nira and Leo walked through the palace gardens. The bioluminescent plants glowed softly, casting gentle light over the paths. Nira paused, taking in the beauty and serenity of the moment. "Mother has changed," she said quietly. "She understands now. She sees us not as I feared, but as capable partners in leadership." Leo smiled. "Change is hard for those who have held power for long, but when they open their minds, the results can be extraordinary. Your mother's understanding will strengthen Zathira even more than the battle did." Nira nodded, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and doubt. She had led with courage and compassion, and she had inspired both her people and her mother. The lessons of the crisis had been harsh. They had revealed the true measure of strength. As they continued walking, Leo took her hand gently. "Remember, Nira, this is only the beginning. Challenges will come again. But now you know your strength, and you know that you are never alone. Together, we can face whatever comes." Nira looked at him, her heart filled with gratitude and determination. "Yes, we will face it together, and we will protect our people with courage and wisdom." Far above, Queen Varna watched from her chambers, the weight of regret giving way to pride and hope. She had misjudged her daughter, misjudged the human, and misjudged herself. But now, she understood the truth. Leadership was not about appearances, titles, or tradition alone. It was about courage, wisdom, and the willingness to grow. The events of the past days had reshaped the palace, the city, and the hearts of its leaders. Nira had proven herself capable. Leo had proven his loyalty and intelligence. And Queen Varna had finally acknowledged the lessons she had long ignored. Regret had led to understanding, and understanding had paved the way for a stronger, Brighter future for Zathera that night as the twin moons cast silver light across the palace. The three of them, mother, daughter, and humans, stood together. The city was safe, the people were inspired, and a new era was beginning. Queen Varna had learned humility. Nira had discovered her courage. Leo had shown that even the most unlikely hero could rise to greatness. Together, they were ready to face whatever the universe would bring next. The city of Zathera had recovered from the attack, its floating towers shining once more under the twin suns. Citizens moved through the streets with renewed energy, repairing homes, restoring gardens, and celebrating the resilience of their world. The memory of the Korathian threat lingered, but it had become a story of courage, unity, and unexpected leadership. In the palace, life had changed forever. Queen Varna no longer relied solely on her authority to guide the city. She had learned the value of collaboration, of recognizing strength wherever it appeared, and of trusting those who demonstrated courage and wisdom. Her daughter Nira had grown into a capable and confident leader, and Leo, the human, had proven himself indispensable, a symbol of ingenuity and bravery. Together, they had forged a partnership that inspired the people and reshaped the future of Zathera. The morning after the celebrations, Nira walked through the palace gardens with Leo. The glowing plants bathed the paths in soft light, their gentle luminescence reflecting in the water features. Nira paused, taking in the scene. "It feels like a new beginning," she said softly. "Everything is changing, and yet it feels right." Leo nodded. "It is a beginning, a chance to shape our world together. The people have seen what courage and cooperation can achieve. Now we must build on it." Nira smiled. "I've learned so much. I've learned that leadership is not about being perfect, but about acting with heart and courage. I have learned that mistakes are part of growth, and that support and trust can make all the difference." Leo placed a hand gently on hers. "And you have shown that you are more than ready. Zathera is fortunate to have you as a leader, and I am fortunate to have the chance to serve alongside you." The queen entered the garden quietly, observing the couple. She had spent the night reflecting on her own journey. Pride and regret had given way to understanding, humility, and hope. She approached them with measured steps, her expression soft but filled with warmth. "Nira, Leo," she said, her voice steady, "I have witnessed your courage, your wisdom, and your partnership. You have shown me that leadership is not about tradition alone, but about heart, determination, and the willingness to act. I am proud of both of you," Nira turned, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Mother, your support means more than words can express. Together, we can build a future that is strong and just." Leo inclined his head respectfully. "Queen Varna, your guidance has been invaluable. With your support, we can ensure that Zathera continues to thrive, united and prepared for whatever challenges lie ahead." The queen nodded. She had learned a lesson she would never forget, that strength was not always obvious, that courage could appear in unexpected forms, and that collaboration and trust could achieve what tradition alone could not. In the weeks that followed, Nira and Leo worked tirelessly with the queen to strengthen the city. They implemented new defense systems, combining human ingenuity with Zatheran technology. Citizens were encouraged to participate in governance, learning from the experiences of the battle and the lessons of leadership. Nira visited villages and settlements, offering guidance, support, and encouragement. Her confidence grew with every encounter, and the people responded with loyalty and respect. Leo continued to innovate, finding ways to improve the city's energy systems, transportation networks, and communication methods. His understanding of human technology, combined with the advanced alien systems, created solutions that no one had thought possible. Soldiers trained under his guidance, learning strategies that combined courage, creativity, and intelligence. Even the queen's most skeptical advisors began to recognize the value of his contributions. One evening, Nira and Leo stood atop the highest tower of the palace, overlooking the city. The lights of the floating towers glimmered like stars against the emerald sky. Citizens moved below, rebuilding, celebrating, and preparing for the future. "Look at them," Nira said, her voice filled with awe. They trust us. They believe in us. Leo smiled. They do, and they are right to. You have shown them that courage and wisdom can guide even the most uncertain hearts. Together, we have strengthened this city and its people.
How?
Nira took a deep breath, feeling the weight and responsibility of leadership. I have learned so much from you, Leo, not just about strategy or courage, but about patience, understanding, and the importance of trust. I have learned from you, Leo replied. Your compassion, empathy, and determination inspire everyone around you. Leadership is not just about skill. It is about heart. You have shown that in every decision, every action, and every choice you have made. The queen approached them quietly, standing slightly behind. I have learned as well, she said softly. I misjudged both of you for far too long. Your actions have taught me humility, respect, and the value of collaboration. I am proud to witness the future you are shaping. Nira and Leo turned to her, their expressions warm and grateful. Thank you, Mother, Nira said. Your support now will help guide us even further. Queen Varna nodded. I will stand with you. I will learn, listen, and advise. But I will not interfere unnecessarily. The future is yours to shape, and you have proven yourselves ready. Over the following months, Nira and Leo introduced reforms that strengthened both the city and the trust of the people. Citizens were encouraged to share their ideas and participate in governance. Technology from Earth and Zathera was combined to improve life for everyone. Defense systems were upgraded, trade routes expanded, and education programs were created for young leaders. The city grew more united and prosperous than ever before. Nira's confidence continued to grow. She led with compassion and decisiveness, earning the admiration of both citizens and soldiers. Her ability to listen, understand, and act inspired loyalty and trust. Leo remained her steadfast partner, providing guidance, innovation, and courage in every endeavor. Together, they had proven that strength was not limited by origin, tradition, or appearance. The queen, now more reflective and open, observed her daughter's growth with pride. She had learned the value of humility, the importance of trust, and the power of recognizing talent and courage in unexpected forms. The useless daughter she had once doubted was now a symbol of hope, courage, and leadership. The human she had once underestimated was now an essential partner in shaping the future of Zathera. One afternoon, the queen invited Nira and Leo to a private audience in the palace gardens. The air was calm, the glowing plants casting a serene light over the scene. Queen Varna addressed them with solemnity and warmth. You have both changed this city and my understanding of leadership, she said. I regret the years I doubted you, but I am grateful for the lessons you have taught me. Together, you have shown the people and meet what true strength looks like. Nira smiled, her eyes reflecting both gratitude and determination. We will continue to build on what we have learned. We will lead with courage, compassion, and wisdom. Together, we can guide Zathera to a brighter future. Leo nodded. The people have seen what we can achieve when we act with trust, strategy, and heart. Our work is not finished, but the foundation is strong. Queen Varna stepped back, allowing them to stand together. She watched as the human and her daughter shared a quiet moment, their partnership evident in every gesture and glance. She realized that the future of Zathera did not rest solely on her shoulders. It rested on the courage, intelligence, and collaboration of those willing to act for the good of all. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the city thrived. Trade flourished, defenses were strengthened, and alliances with other worlds deepened. Citizens were inspired by the example of Nira and Leo, understanding that leadership could take many forms and that strength was measured by action, courage, and compassion. The queen, once proud and rigid in her expectations, embraced a new role. She became a mentor, a guide, and a supporter, allowing her daughter and Leo to take the lead. She shared her wisdom without controlling, advised without dominating, and celebrated the achievements of her people with genuine pride. One evening, as the twin moons rose in the sky, casting silver light across the city, Nira and Leo stood atop the highest tower once more. The city below pulsed with life, energy, and hope. Citizens moved through the streets, their faces filled with determination and joy. "We have come far," Nira said softly, gazing at the horizon. "Yes," Leo replied, "but the journey continues. There will always be challenges. There will always be threats. But we are ready, and so are the people." Nira turned to him, her expression resolute. "Together, we will face whatever comes. We will protect this city, our people, and the future we have built." Leo smiled, taking her hand. "Together, always." Far above, Queen Varna watched from her chambers, her heart filled with pride and hope. She had learned the value of humility, the power of courage, and the importance of trust. She had learned that strength was not defined by appearances or tradition alone. And she had learned that even the most unlikely heroes could rise to greatness. Shaping the world in ways that exceeded expectation, the city of Zithera had entered a new era. One of unity, courage, and innovation. One where leadership was measured by action and heart, not by lineage or appearances. Nira had proven herself a capable leader. Leo had proven himself a hero and partner. And Queen Varna had embraced the lessons of humility and collaboration.